Today, we're taking a trip back to one of Gameloft's most ambitious mobile adventures ever created, Sacred Odyssey: Rise of Ayden. Released in early 2011 for iOS, this game is often remembered as Gameloft's answer to The Legend of Zelda. And honestly, for many players, it came closer than anyone expected at the time. Let's set the stage. Back in 2011, mobile gaming was still considered casual. People thought of Angry Birds, Fruit Ninja, or Cut the Rope. But Gameloft was trying to prove that smartphones could deliver experiences that felt like console titles. With Sacred Odyssey, they created a full 3D open-world action-adventure, complete with puzzles, dungeons, bosses, and a fantasy storyline that would feel right at home on a Nintendo console. The story follows Ayden, a young hero chosen by fate to save his kingdom from the threat of Amanban, an ancient evil returning to destroy the land. Guided by the spirit of the princess, Ayden sets off on a journey to collect the 4 sacred grails, each hidden within a dangerous dungeon. If this sounds familiar, it's because Gameloft clearly took inspiration from Zelda's formula. But that's not a bad thing. In fact, it gave iPhone players a chance to enjoy a Zelda-like adventure on a device that had never seen an official Zelda game. Ayden himself is a silent protagonist. You don't hear him speak, which again mirrors Link from Nintendo's franchise. The princess provides most of the dialogue and guidance, acting like a mentor figure. Along the way, you explore a fantasy world filled with villages, fields, caves, and temples. For a mobile game, the scale was jaw-dropping. Now let's dive into the gameplay, which is where Sacred Odyssey really stood out. At its core, it's an action-adventure RPG. You have a sword for combat, a shield for blocking, and a growing arsenal of special items that you acquire as you progress. Just like in Zelda, each dungeon gives you a new tool or ability, like a bow, bombs, or a magical item, and that tool becomes essential for solving puzzles and defeating the boss of that dungeon. The combat is fairly simple but satisfying. You slash enemies, roll to dodge, and use your items to attack from a distance. Enemy variety isn't as wide as in a console game, but Gameloft did a solid job including goblins, skeletons, giant insects, and mystical creatures to keep things fresh. Boss battles are the highlight. Each one requires strategy. You can't just button mash. For example, one boss might only be vulnerable after you stun it with bombs, while another requires you to shoot arrows at weak points. These mechanics gave the game real depth. Exploration is another major part of the experience. The overworld is surprisingly large for an iOS title of its era. You travel on horseback across fields, talk to villagers, and discover hidden secrets. Some areas are blocked until you acquire a certain item, encouraging you to backtrack and explore once you're stronger. Again, very Zelda-like, but executed well. The puzzles inside the dungeons are also worth mentioning. They range from block-pushing challenges to switches, levers, and timing-based obstacles. For many mobile players in 2011, this was their first taste of a real puzzle adventure game on a phone. The controls were touch-based, using an on-screen joystick and action buttons. While not perfect, they were surprisingly functional. Considering the hardware limitations of iPhones back then, Gameloft deserves credit for making such a complex game actually playable. Let's talk visuals and sound. For its time, Sacred Odyssey looked incredible. The 3D graphics pushed the iPhone 4 and iPod Touch to their limits. Bright, colorful landscapes gave the game a real sense of adventure, while dungeons had a darker, atmospheric feel. Character models were detailed enough to convey emotion, and animations were smooth for 2011 standards. The art style was very much fantasy Zelda, but it worked, and it gave the game a unique identity on mobile. The soundtrack was also impressive. The orchestral-style music created a sense of epic adventure. From the calm tunes in villages to the intense boss battle tracks, the audio elevated the whole experience. Sound effects, from the swing of Ayden's sword to the neigh of his horse, helped immerse players in the world. One of the most controversial aspects of the game, however, was its business model. When it first launched, Gameloft made the first part of the game free, but you had to pay to unlock the full adventure. Many players downloaded it thinking it was free to play, only to hit a paywall after the intro. While this upset some people, others were willing to pay because the quality was so high. In hindsight, it was a smart way for Gameloft to let players try before buying, but it did create confusion. Now, let's discuss the legacy. Sacred Odyssey is often remembered as one of the best Zelda-like games on mobile. It proved that phones could handle more than just casual puzzle games. For players who didn't own a Nintendo console, it provided a taste of that magical action-adventure formula. Sadly, the game was eventually removed from the App Store, like many Gameloft classics, due to compatibility issues with newer iOS versions. Today, it survives only on old devices, making it a rare gem for collectors and retro mobile enthusiasts. Looking back, Sacred Odyssey represents a fascinating moment in mobile gaming history. It was a time when Gameloft wasn't afraid to experiment, to push boundaries, and to borrow inspiration from console giants. While some critics called it a Zelda clone, others praised it for bringing that style of gameplay to a new audience. And honestly, if you were a kid in 2011 with just an iPhone or iPod Touch, this was the closest thing you had to playing The Legend of Zelda in your pocket. For me, Sacred Odyssey is more than just a game. It's a reminder of what mobile gaming could have been if developers kept pushing for premium, console-quality experiences instead of free-to-play models. It showed us the potential of phones as real gaming devices, and it remains one of the most nostalgic titles from Gameloft's golden era. So that's Sacred Odyssey, Rise of Ayden, a forgotten masterpiece that deserves to be remembered. If you enjoy retro mobile games like this, make sure to subscribe because I'll be covering more lost classics in upcoming videos. And let me know in the comments, did you ever play Sacred Odyssey back in the day? What was your favorite part? The puzzles, the bosses, or just exploring the world on horseback? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.